This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome in. Good to see you. Red One, I did that on purpose just to, like, you know, it's just kind of background music. It's not blaring for anybody. But if you want me to turn it up, I can. You're not full of shit at all, but the intro should be the right volume and everything. Maybe that's bad, because then maybe people have the intro music turned, they're like, oh, it's turned down, let me turn it up, and then the fucking announcer voice just blasting at you. I try to be I try to think about, like, you know, like the best consumption for the audience. I didn't want to do an intro, but, like, there are things I can't do until I'm actually live on the stream. So I at least need like a minute. 5 minutes just lets me, like, go and piss and shit. Not like actually shit. I mean, maybe, who knows? Definitely wash your ass after that. God damn it. Did I do the welcome to the Troll Patrol live? It's a freaking Monday. The news is doing some crazy shit. What are we going to talk about tonight? Seriously, I'm asking you, what are we going to talk about? The U.S. joined with Russia, Belarus, Hungary, and several other pariah states to vote against a UN resolution condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine. President Emmanuel Macron visited the White House, corrected Donald Trump. Trump was going to go searching for gold at Fort Knox. He's laughing about MSNBC and the firing of one Miss Joy Reid. Dan Bongino has been named your FBI director. I broke that last night, but, like, I got cut off on the show, right? Like, my internet just went out. I think I'm having an issue with maybe my network card or something. Maybe the wire's just loose. That's happened a couple different times now. Tried to make sure everything was good for tonight. So that's what happened last night. I came back on but didn't do the news. So we got some leftover news. We got leftovers. I think that's a James thing. He does his leftovers on Sunday. We're going to talk about Enrique Tarrio because he's made a lot of news. He's gotten arrested again. A bomb threat was called into an event by an Enrique T. Tarrio says it's not him, though. Warlord, are you still in here? Did you just post the thing? Because I totally have that. I'm not even going to billboard it, but you probably won't be here for it. Just posted it in the troll chat. I'm absolutely going to play that video. Because, you know, I want to do my jokey joke. Soup, good evening. Welcome. Why you gotta have spoilers for, Warlord? Yes, we're going to talk about Dan Crenshaw and Tucker Carlson. They're apparently Dan Crenshaw, a man who I would give anything in the world to piss in his open eye hole. Give me that eye, pussy, sir. Apparently, he really hates Tucker Carlson and made a threat. Teenagers today have no idea how hard it was not to jerk off to these ladies from the 80s. I think my brother had a poster of her. I don't even know who that is. Is that Kathy Ireland? Is that who that is? Or Claudia Scheinbaum? No, Claudia Schiffer. Oh, the I don't even know who the woman in the top right hand corner is, or the bottom left hand corner. And the only true jack off material in the meme resides in the bottom right. If Blanche I've never seen Weird Science. If the Golden Girls were on the orgy couch at Fox, you know I would. You know I would.
You live in sexual anarchy?
T-minus, good evening. The Department of Housing and Urban Development had a weird video playing in their cafeteria this morning. I'm going to show you the video. A woman was removed from an Idaho GOP meeting. I'm going to show you protests outside of Missouri Representative Mark Alford's office. The military choir may have provided their own form of protest during a dinner at the White House. Doge set to use AI to determine if the excuses are 5 bullet points or whatever from federal employees match up to what they're looking for. A flag has been hung upside down at Yosemite National Park because of the firings in the federal government. I've still got video of a frozen Buick I'm going to show you. An explosion in Hawaii. We've got a bunch of juveniles attacking a motorist. Thieves faked a seizure in order to rob a store. High school student killed in a hit and run. I think maybe the high school student was the hit and runner. I don't fucking know. Don't ask me. Well, we'll find out when we get there. I got a carjacking caught on video. A man who stabbed his wife to death because she didn't like his Valentine's Day present. A woman killed her wife. She was apparently already convicted of murder in another country. We've had another plane, just another day in mass plane crash USA. Small plane crashes in Texas. Another plane had to make an emergency landing because of smoke. We have video from inside that plane. An arrest warrant has been issued for a congressman, but apparently the DOJ is not going to act on it. We're going to hear from the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, about the budget negotiations. Migrants were sent to a camp in Panama. Apparently it was torture. Plus, Lester Holt finally takes my advice and shuts the fuck up. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Good evening, Minty. Anti-War Machine. Welcome in, my friends. Shit, fuck, fart again. My Lord gonna join me on the orgy couch with the Golden Girls. Who else in the chat's gonna join me on the orgy couch with the Golden Girls? Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Oh, please stop letting me sing. CJ, thank you for the sub. Thank you for the resub. Clinically, welcome in. That makes it that much hotter clinically. Oh my god. Oh my god. I have no probably have a necrophilophobia if that's a thing. I would have a fear of fucking dead. Like if some zombie tried to fuck me, that would be the worst experience. Zombie rape would be the worst thing I could possibly think of to experience. I would much rather them eat me than, like eat my ass. Eat my brains, not my ass. You know they didn't wash it. The UN rejected a resolution put forward by the U.S. Passes one condemning Russia.
The result of the vote.
I like you T-minus because you're open-minded.
In favor, 93. Against, 18. Abstentions, 65. Draft resolution A/ES11/L10 is adopted.
The Zussy. Flash, good evening. Who's the Ukrainian envoy here in the blue?
I give the floor to the distinguished representative of Ukraine.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The delegation of Ukraine would like to request a recorded vote on the draft resolution A/ES11/L.11. Thank you.
A recorded vote has been requested. We shall now begin the voting process. Those in favor of draft resolution A/ES11/L11 as amended, please signify. Those against, abstentions.
The Assembly is now voting on draft resolution A/ES11/L11 as amended, entitled The Path to Peace. Will all delegations confirm that their votes are accurately
This is the one condemning Russia.
screen? The voting has been completed.
DJ Dub.
Please lock the machine.
Did we,
The result
though?
of the vote is as follows. In
We're already dead. This is hell.
93, against 8, abstention 73. Draft resolution
Thank you for the resub, my friend.
A/ES11/L11 as amended is adopted.
I still need to change that. I need to come up with something better. I don't like the genderedness of it. I wonder what it was like for France to vote for that resolution that the United States voted against while the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, was at the White House with Trump.
Will France support the U.S. being compensated?
I support the idea to have Ukraine first being compensated because they are the ones to have lose a lot of their fellow citizens and being destroyed by these attacks. Second, all of those who paid for could be compensated, but not by Ukraine, by Russia, because they were the one to aggress.
Again,
It's just paperwork.
you understand, Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid. We paid 60% of the total effort, and it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money, to be clear.
Yeah.
We have 230 billion frozen assets in Europe, Russian assets, but this is not as a collateral of a loan because this is not our belonging. So they are frozen. If at the end of the day in the negotiation we will have with Russia
In the what station?
to give it to us, super. It will be loan at the end of the day, and Russia would have paid for that.
If you
This is my
believe
wish.
that, it's okay with me.
He's slick, isn't he?
Get their money back, we don't, and now we do. But, you know, that's
We
only
fight
fair.
both.
You should be more money. It should be the one that pays everybody back. Are they the aggressors?
Well, we're negotiating everything, and everything's on the table, and we'll see if we can get some land back, and we'll see about a lot of different things. And we're gonna be making a little speech and say a few words in a little while. We're gonna have another meeting, a luncheon meeting, and we'll see you in about 2 hours. Okay? Thank you very much,
The
everyone.
luncheon meeting. And then Macron with the fucking wink. That motherfucker is slick. He's slick as fuck. But he's on his way out. Trump, I wonder if he's going to do this himself. Elon Musk is apparently going to Fort Knox. But Trump is talking like maybe he is going to Fort Knox as well.
Great, because we have people that don't show up.
I mean, it's good TV.
They work for the government. So by asking the question, tell us what you did this week, what he's doing is saying, are you actually working? And then if you don't answer, like you're sort of semi-fired or you're fired, because a lot of people are not answering because they don't even exist. They're trying to find, that's how badly various parts of our government were run by, and especially by this last group. So what they're doing is they're trying to find out who's working for the government. Are we paying other people that aren't working? And, you know, where's all that? Where's the money going? We have found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud so far, and we've just started. We're actually going to Fort Knox to see if the gold is there, because maybe somebody stole the gold. Tons of gold.
Some of the agencies.
So I think it was actually, there was a lot of genius in sending it. We're trying to find out if people are working. And so we're sending a letter to people. Please tell us what you did last week.
I'm working, bitch.
It's possible that there is no such person or they're not working.
Some of the agency heads instructed their employees.
Now, I think it'd be really good TV if he goes to Fort Knox. You know, I want to see him and Elon go down there and open the vaults. That'd be fun to watch. I mean, make the most out of this, right? If we're going to have to live through this ending of an empire. Socialist Aunt, good evening. Let's go to Truth Social, where Donald Trump truthed out low-life chairman of Comcast, Brian Roberts. The owner of ratings-challenged NBC and MSNBC has finally gotten the nerve up to fire one of the least talented people in television, the mentally obnoxious racist Joy Reid. Based on her ratings, which were virtually non-existent, she should have been canned long ago, along with everyone else who works there. Also thrown out was Alex Wagner, the sub on the Substitute. I was like, Alex Wagner was Rachel Maddow's sub? I had no idea about this. Rachel rarely shows up because she knows there's nobody watching. And she also knows that she's got less television persona than virtually anyone on television except perhaps Joy Reid. Then there's, of course, the low IQ con man Al Sharpton, who has perhaps the lowest TV ratings in the history of television. What is he doing to Brian Roberts to stay on the air? The whole corrupt operation is nothing more than a legal arm of the Democratic Party. I'm sorry, the Democrat Party. I don't want to misquote him. They should be forced to pay vast sums of money for the damage they've done to our country. Fake news is an unpardonable sin. Joy apparently got emotional talking about it. I guess she has a podcast or she's got her own streaming set up. This was her earlier.
Where I land is that
Jazz Guitar Jeff, welcome in.
Guilt that I felt that I went hard on so many issues, whether it was the Black Lives Matter issues of a young baby or a mom or a dad that was killed, or when we opened up people's eyes to the fact that Asian Americans were being targeted and not just black folks, or went hard for immigrants who've done nothing.
She did a good job.
In this country, like my parents did, and try to make a life and defended them.
I mean, I didn't watch your show regularly, but
about
anytime we watched a clip,
what
it was
the president
good.
is doing that is subversive to the Constitution, that is injurious to our liberty, you know, defending books that people find inconvenient, you know, that Nicole Hannah-Jones put into our spirit, that we need to understand 1619 as the real founding of this country, whether it's talking about any of these issues, and yes, whether it's talking about Gaza and the fact that we as the American people have a right to object, to little babies being bombed. And where I come down on that is I'm not sorry. I am not sorry that I stood up for those things, because those things are of God. And you know, I'm a church girl too, and those are the things that I was taught were of God. And so I'm not sorry. I'm just proud of my show.
I think she should be. Every time we watched a clip, it was really well done. Carla, good evening. Ducky. Anybody else I left out? Flash, did I tell you good evening? Anybody else sneak in here on me? Oh, Llama, I didn't tell you good evening. Welcome. Welcome, my friends. Since we're talking about podcast hosts, broadcast hosts, let's talk about our new deputy FBI director, one Mr. Dan Bongino, someone who we have played many times here on the Troll Patrol. That's what I was trying to explain to Curiouser who Kash Patel was, and I'm like, I'm virtually certain that Kash Patel has been on Weinstein podcast, Lex Friedman, many of the things that Dave is watching over there on the IDT. You have probably seen Kash Patel on a show that Dave watches regularly on Echoplex. And then after I said that to her, I'm like, now, think about what that means. The FBI director is now someone you have probably been familiarized with through Dave's stream at Echoplex. Dan Bongino is someone we have played here on the Troll Patrol in the same vein.
Welcome back. Newly sworn-in FBI Director Kash Patel named popular podcaster Dan Bongino as the director of the agency. Bongino's background includes
Dan Bon Jovi
and the NYPD, but not the FBI. Adding to the agency shakeup, Patel said he plans to move more than 1,000 agents and staff from D.C. headquarters to outposts and field offices across the nation. This is all part of a plan to thin out FBI offices in the capital region.
Dan Bongeruni.
CBS News Department of Justice correspondent Scott McFarland to help us break all of this down. Welcome, Scott. I want to talk about the new deputy director. You've been around Bongino. What can you tell us about him, and what should we expect of him in this new role?
Dan Bongino, among other things, is wildly famous on the talk radio circuit and in conservative circles. He has an audience that is measured in millions, and he is taking a civil service job to a degree, becoming the deputy director of the FBI. On his program late this morning, he confirmed he's taking the job in the name of public service and that it's hard to walk away from a popular show. Dan Bongino, among other things, was the successor to the late Rush Limbaugh, inheriting that show and holding it for years. But there are any number of concerns inside the FBI and among critics of the Trump administration about putting somebody with no FBI experience into the number 2 position at the Bureau, because the number 2 person at the Bureau does all that blocking and tackling, administering of the agency, helping with the day-to-day operations. Having somebody so inexperienced inside the Bureau is going to cause some concerns.
I assume that's a metaphor and he's not actually blocking and tackling.
Has amassed an enormous audience and credibility in conservative and MAGA circles because he is a provocateur. He calls about owning the libs, about taking on libs, about being a change agent to change the trajectory of politics in America. That is quite a stance for somebody who's going to be running a law enforcement agency.
Okay, Scott, let's talk about Kash Patel's first full week as director of the FBI. He said he is moving more than 1,000 FBI agents to other outposts. So what are officials saying about this, and have they expressed any concerns so far?
It's a big shift. Let's start off with the fact that over the weekend he's announced about 1,000 D.C.-based leaders, executives, and agents are going to be redirected or reassigned elsewhere in the country. There are about 6 FBI field offices around America, and he's going to decentralize the agency, move these agents and employees around. That could cause some turnover. It also may be a politically popular move in some circles to have less people in Washington and more people out in America. But there's also that ticking time bomb inside the FBI. The list that was compiled under Department of Justice orders of 5,000 or so agents and employees who were part of the January 6th investigation. Many of those agents are worried about or resigned to some type of retaliation for following orders and investigating a violent attack on the Capitol. That list could make its way to Kash Patel's desk, and there are so many people inside the agency right now worried the email is going to arrive any minute, that they're being disciplined or fired or forced to resign. That's a difficult condition for law enforcement to operate under.
Yeah, very difficult for these people to do their jobs. So we know Patel is also tapped to run the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, or the ATF. Can we expect to see a similar shakeup?
I don't like CBS's setup. This is weird.
I think no matter who was going to run the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, there were going to be some big changes. In fact, the last director in the Biden administration predicted to CBS News there would be cuts, there would be shakeups, because there's a Republican Party mandate to chop or redirect the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Conservatives argue that that agency is an encroachment on the Second Amendment. Supporters of the agency say it helps reduce gun crimes and mass shootings in America. The new leadership will likely mean a refocusing of their resources, but there's a bigger threat outside the administration to the ATF. The Republican Congress seems keen on lowering the budget, shrinking appropriations for the ATF, making it more difficult for them to do anything.
Okay, I want to ask you about the hearing happening today.
You won't let me grab him.
The Associated Press's fight to restore their access to presidential events. The White House restricted them over the publication's use of the term Gulf of Mexico. So what exactly can you tell us about this case?
Yeah, the Associated Press goes into court in mid-afternoon here in Washington to ask for a judge to intervene and restore their full access, the access they'd had a few weeks ago and for years, to all spaces in the White House where the Associated Press is accustomed to going, to cover the president from Air Force
The judge
One
did
to
not
the
rule in favor of the AP.
areas that are
At least
limited
this
to
afternoon they
certain press.
didn't. I don't know if there's another
The White
hearing
House is
set.
arguing because the Associated Press refuses to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. However you want to view that issue, the Associated Press has not subscribed to the president's term for it. They have been shifted or taken away their access to certain presidential events. They want a judge to intervene to restore it today. There'll be arguments both ways, an unorthodox, a break from custom for the courthouse in Washington to be hearing that type of case, especially at this moment.
Okay.
Gulf of America. There was an anti-Trump conference that took place over the weekend. A bomb threat was sent to anti-Trump conference singles out officer who tangled with ex-Proud Boys leader. Enrique Tarrio denies involvement despite organizers attributing threat to someone claiming to be Enrique T. Attendees of a center-right political conference in Washington, D.C. were forced to evacuate on Sunday after someone claiming to be Enrique Tarrio, the former leader of the far-right Proud Boys group, who was convicted and pardoned for his role in the January 6th insurrection, allegedly emailed in a bomb threat against the event. Tarrio denied any involvement in the incident. Organizers of the Principles First Summit, which is considered a center-right alternative to the Conservative Political Action Conference, confirmed the bomb threat after they abruptly asked attendees to clear the room hosting the conference. As the situation unfolded, Tarrio shared a social media post denying any connection to the incident and threatening the Principles First organizers with legal action for accusing him. Jim Acosta, the former CNN host, posted a copy of the threatening message on social media. The message claimed that 4 pipe bombs had been deployed against political enemies of Emperor Trump, who all deserve to die, including attendees at the conference. Michael Fanone, a former U.S. Capitol police officer, Fanone's mother, and John Bolton, Donald Trump's former national security advisor. After police officers completed the security sweep at the hotel, Heath Mayo, founder of the Principal... Heath Mayo, founder of Principles First, confirmed that organizers received a threatening email with the subject line "Explosive Surprises" from an account belonging to Enrique T. Mayo commended the police officers and security officials who responded quickly to the threat, telling summit attendees, "We are not going to be cowed. It would have been easy to go home and write this off and let these threats win, but this is what America is all about. And America's democracy, the way that our government works, cannot be cowed by threats like this or people like this." Buddies with Fred Mustard. Oh, god damn, that was a good one. Tario actually confronted Officer Michael Fanone. This happened at the Capitol when the Proud Boys were there, apparently walking the same path that they took on January 6th.
You guys are brave on the sentence here. You sat there, you laughed while I got 22 fucking years. Now you don't even want to look in my eyes. You fucking coward. You were a coward that day. You were a coward after.
Just go home. Just go home. You're a traitor to this country.
Yeah, so are you.
You're a traitor to this country.
You're a fucking traitor. Piece of shit. That's why they fired your ass, and that's why your own people turned on you, piece of shit. You and your fucking boy over here. You fucking failure. Go home. The other one's another fucking failure. Another failure. Run from me, motherfucker. Run from me.
He's not staying in the hotel. He's trespassing.
You fucking piece of shit. Run from me.
I do believe he is the leader of the Proud Boys again, if you guys can't tell by the garb he's wearing.
Fuck you, you. Oh, you can say that while you're over there, motherfucker. You didn't do shit.
Fucking bald-headed bitch. Fuck you. Tourette's, man.
That was the interaction between Fanone and Tario.
You sat there, you laughed while I got 22 fucking years. Now you don't even want to look at
You deserved it, you piece of shit. You shouldn't be out. You shouldn't be walking among civilized people.
Just go home. Just go home. You're a traitor to this country.
Yeah, so are you.
He absolutely is a traitor. I mean, he did get himself arrested. It's a minor charge, though, so I'm sure like he's already out again. Ex-Proud Boys leader Enrique Tario arrested on assault charge outside the U.S. Capitol. A woman apparently was holding up her phone. Tario smacked it away, garnering an assault charge. I assume it's only a matter of time before he's back behind bars. I'm amazed he's got the balls to go walk around the Capitol and confront Fanone. Fanone would probably beat his ass.
Move back, please. Move back. Move back. Come on. Move back. Come on. Move back. Move back. Move back.
Avalon, good evening.
Watch the pool. Watch the pool behind her.
Folks, keep going. Move back.
So that's what Enrique Tario was up to over the weekend. Coming in this morning at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Workers were greeted with this. If you have not seen it, I'm going to hit the content warning for it. It might make you barf. This was what was on the TVs inside of HUD this morning as workers came in for their shifts.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Shelly, good evening. It was on numerous TVs. I mean, I kind of was joking, but also, no, not really. I mean, it's AI. He's got 6 toes. No, it's actually got 5 toes. But the hands, look at the hands. Epstein had this painting next to the one of Clinton. I'm sorry. I apologize. Shelly, good evening. TVs at HUD played AI-generated video of Donald Trump kissing Elon Musk's feet. Oh, that's just the same one. There's other videos going around where, like, it's on multiple TVs in the shot. My apologies. I don't know if this is some form of protest or if people are, you know, actually into that. MAGAs are weird, and I think they have some weird fetishes, so I wouldn't put it past them actually being into that kind of shit. Here is a real protest as a woman was forcefully removed from a I want to say Cootin' Nanny, but it is not. This is in Idaho. It's in Idaho. It's Kootenai, probably. Kootenai. A Kootenai County GOP meeting. This is in Idaho.
Abortions. All right, hold on one moment here. Okay, again, you folks who are just popping off with stupid remarks, you're not taking into account the people sitting next to you. There's a bunch of people that came here to hear them. There's an opportunity for you to sound off, but not right now. And because you're not smart enough to know that, you're just crazy people. And what we're doing right now is just pausing while we escort. Get them out. If you can't be civil, get out.
Boo that man. Boo.
So, you know, folks, when our nation began, there was some really
You're gonna arrest her?
No, I'm not recognizing you.
What would you like to do?
So, yes, we're going to get to him. We're going to get to him. I promise. We'll get plenty of chances.
This is not a negotiation.
But, you know, the problem is the folks... Oh, look.
I'm telling you to leave.
Look at that. Oh, he's showing how intelligent he is with all the 5 words he has.
Listen to this dude up on stage.
Disrupt so that the citizens can't hear. The reality is there's a whole bunch of great things that are happening.
I think all the other citizens should stop them.
A bunch of rabble-rousers who just won't allow it to be spoken. So, you know, the thing is, what I'm doing up here is I'm simply over-talking you because your voice is meaningless right now. And we're just taking care of the rabble-rousers. And eventually what's going to happen is everything's going to settle down and we'll get back to the legislators. Because really, that you didn't come here to listen to me. I just happen to have a nice loud voice and a big microphone. And I can talk over all of you. And I can just talk for on and on and on. And look at this. This little girl is afraid to leave. She spoke up, and now she doesn't want to suffer the consequences.
Seriously, that's an elected official.
The problem that we're struggling with so many of the kids today is they want to behave openly and then not struggle with the consequences. That is shameful. I think what we've got right now is a situation where these folks are trying to filibuster and shut this whole program down. Unfortunately, they're being successful. To all of you who came here to hear the legislators, I applaud you for sitting there and quietly listening. I promise we will get back to it.
He's got some sort of earpiece in. What the fuck is that?
A little aggressive with some of these folks here.
I will call the
Here. Oh, no, I should be removed. I should be allowed to cry and yell and scream. You should be allowed to interrupt.
Usually, this is not how politics is supposed to be.
Sheriff Norris, this gentleman is assaulting me. You out now. This man is assaulting me. Now, let's go. This man is assaulting me. Is this your deputy? Is this your deputy? No, don't fucking touch us. Is he a deputy? These are deputies. Who the fuck are these men?
Seriously, somebody step in and help her. Who are these dudes? There is one dude stepping in.
Just cooperate, it'll be 100 times better.
Yeah, that's what they say to rape victims, you fucking piece of shit. You refuse to...
Yeah, you piece of shit. Yeah, who are these dudes? Why, he's getting zip ties. I want to know where the rest of that is. Now, who were those guys? She was yelling at the... Oh, fair enough. Flex cuffs. But she was yelling at the sheriff like, are these your deputies? Who are these men? That's insane. They had some sort of earpiece. I'm sorry, Soup. I'm sorry I got you all worked up. This was the scene outside of Missouri Representative Mark Alford's office.
Elon Musk has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Elon Musk has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Elon Musk has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho!
Oh, it's not his office. He was having an event. A little coffee shop.
Go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Elon Musk has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Elon Musk has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Coward! Let us
Coward!
Elon Musk has got to go!
I mean, we're just barely over a month into the Trump presidency, and this is what we're seeing all over the United States. So maybe this is a sign of an actual resistance movement forming. Maybe even inside Trump's own White House. So this was the National Governors Association dinner. This is where we heard him yell at Maine's governor. Video circulating online shows the U.S. Army chorus filing into the dinner while singing "Do You Hear the People Sing" from Les Mis. Song we're gonna play about fighting fascist tyranny. I feel like the message is coming from inside the house. I'm gonna assume they did this on purpose, right? You're damn good. Excellent job. On a live music Monday, too. Kevin, good evening. Welcome in. Doge will use AI to assess the responses of federal workers who were told to justify their jobs via email. Responses to Elon Musk's directed email to government employees about what work they had accomplished in the last week are expected to be fed into an artificial intelligence system to determine whether those jobs are necessary, according to 3 sources with knowledge of the system. The information will go into an LLM, large language model, and advanced AI system that looks at huge amounts of text data to understand, generate, and process human language. The AI system will determine whether someone's work is mission critical or not. The U.S. Office of Personnel Management emails were sent to federal workers on Saturday, shortly after Musk wrote in a post on X that all federal employees will shortly receive an email requesting to understand what they got done last week. Failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. So I meant to mention this last night. There is the email that you can flood, but apparently there is some, they can use a firewall to where if you don't have a government email, they can filter you out. So I don't know if it works coming from a layman's email. Byronic, good evening, Ponder Monkey. Welcome in, friends. What do you mean appropriate the musical in the worst way possible? I feel like the army choir was singing about Trump, like they were saying, like, we're gonna fight the tyranny. That's the way I took it. So while they are evaluating the employees that sent, but did you think it was bad? I thought it was really good. They did a good job. What did I miss, Byronic? What happened? I think the choir was protesting Trump. And they seem like they were really fucking good. So I don't... Did I miss something? Is he that involved that he would order them to sing a certain song? I mean, I guess it's possible. He is Trump. Protests at Yosemite National Park after firings of park rangers and personnel.
Plea at an iconic Yosemite landmark. This dramatic photo showing a U.S. flag.
First performance at the Kennedy Center is the January 6th choir.
I'm Michelle Fisher. The bold display this weekend coming after multiple staff members there.
Yeah, I think the choir was protesting.
President Trump's sweeping.
That's why they chose that song.
News reporter Amy Powell is live with how the job losses could impact vacation plans to the beloved national park. Amy?
Well, that's right, Michelle and Jory. Yosemite National Park is one of the most beautiful and popular destinations in California. But among those fired by the Trump administration last week, hundreds of Park Service employees were also about a dozen Yosemite employees, and that has caused some alarm. Now, protesters staging a dramatic protest, scaling a portion of El Capitan, the 3,000-foot wall of granite in Yosemite, and hanging an American flag upside down. Former employees and many others are worried about the impact the firings will have on the maintenance of the park and the safety of wildlife in the area, including several endangered species. A professional photographer, Brittany Colt, who once worked in a gallery at Yosemite, happened to be at the park on Saturday morning working on another project when she captured the photo of the upside-down flag. Colt said she doesn't know the protesters, but she has spoken to Yosemite employees about the layoffs.
Several employees have shared their fears with me. They are scared that the parks will get...
Her hair looks like Chad Kroger.
They cannot operate the parks without...
Is the lead singer in Nickelback.
Without having emergency...
This is how you remind me who I really am.
Now we understand the upside-down flag has been removed. Many employees and former employees hoping those workers will be reinstated.
It was really pretty hair. I don't know why.
Amy Powell, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Hello.
Hey, Mark Brown. I was going to transition and be like, she's got really pretty hair. But then I decided to make the Chad Kroger joke. I thought that was funnier. She's got really pretty hair. I wish I had that hair. Apparently, the Trump administration sent migrants to a hotel in Panama. We're in danger, apparently, several migrants said. For days, they say they were locked inside of a hotel in Panama, surrounded by tight security with limited contact with the outside world. Nearly 300 migrants from Asia, all deported by the U.S., were held there by Panamanian authorities who agreed to take them in and eventually repatriate them. It's part of the Trump administration's mass deportation campaign, which it has pressured Latin American nations to help with. Some migrants have been transferred to a remote camp at the edge of the jungle that few can access, lawyers representing some of the migrants told CNN. Now they wait to learn if they can be sent back to the countries they fled or to another nation really willing to receive them. But the conditions they have faced are distressing and may have violated their rights, the lawyers added. The migrants started arriving in Panama City last week after being deported from the U.S. Some didn't even know they were being flown to another country until they actually landed in Panama, according to attorney Ali Hershey, who said they were told they were going to Texas. Migrants were then sent to the Decapolis Hotel and forced to stay there for days without stepping foot outside. Jenny Soto Fernandez, a Panamanian lawyer who represents about 24 migrants from India and Iran, said her clients were living in isolation, fear, and uncertainty. She said a lot of them didn't know their rights and weren't given orders of removal upon being deported. They also face language barriers and are constantly worried about being repatriated. One of the migrants is Artemis Gushmanizadeh, an Iranian national who fled her country out of fear of persecution because of her conversion to Christianity. Under Islamic law, you cannot convert from Islam to any other religion, said Hershishi, who represents her. Gramamazadeh now worries her life will be at risk if she is returned to Iran. We are in danger, she said in text messages to CNN on Tuesday. We are waiting for a miracle. At the hotel, some migrants tried to voice their concerns by sending distress signals to journalists gathered outside. Standing in front of their windows, they held up pieces of paper with handwritten notes, begging for support. Please help us. One sign read, "We are not safe in our country." Another message was written in lipstick directly on the window. "Help us." It read in big bold letters. They're apparently not allowed to leave the hotel for their own protection. My heart rate just went up. Let's try to relax a little bit. You want to smoke some pot? You guys want to smoke? Light one up, tip one back. Let's smoke. Smoke them if you got them. Did you just quote the Eagles? I hate the fucking Eagles, man. That sounds delightful, Flash. Or are you saying that they're all resined up and they're a little strong? Oh my God, I hate the fucking Eagles, man. I took AP English, right? When I was in high school. And we had a teacher that I don't even remember his name now because he was only there. He was like a substitute the year before, and then he was there at the beginning of the year. He's going to teach AP English. He was I think he might have had a doctorate because like he was from college. Yeah, it's woke propaganda. Exactly. But like he was amazing, and we had all these classics we were going to read. The fucking class seemed like it was going to be really awesome. Great learning experience. I think we were starting out with like Dante's Inferno, and then like boom, boom, boom. It was like fucking a book a week or some shit. He ends up getting a job at a college and leaves. So like I don't even think we got one class with him. Maybe like the first week or something. We end up with the cheerleading sponsor teaching us AP English, and we got to play Monopoly, Clue, Rook, most of the semester. One of the only assignments she gave us was to listen to Hotel California and analyze the lyrics. And oh my God, I hated the Eagles back then. Like of all the songs you could pick, Hotel fucking California. Dan Crenshaw is feisty. You guys know Dan Crenshaw's really feisty. Maybe he wouldn't like it so much if I pissed in his open eye hole. I ain't scared of him though, but he's talking mad smack about Tucker Carlson.
Have you ever met Tucker?
We've talked a lot. If I ever meet him, I'll probably kill him. He's the worst person.
Have you ever met Tucker?
We've talked a lot. If I ever meet him, I'll probably kill him. He's the worst person.
He didn't mince words. I mean, nobody to root for in that situation. I mean, let him fight it out. Maybe there wasn't an implication, but perhaps I had a hope, a fantasy, if you will. I think this man likes being pissed on. Look at him. He wants this dude to piss on him right there. God damn. That's why I think he might kind of be into me pissing in his eye pussy. I don't know. I've not been doing my best work these last couple of weeks. My apologies. Representative Corey Mills of Florida is being investigated for assault. Apparently been referred to for criminal arrest, but will anything come of it?
We're continuing to follow that breaking news story for you tonight. A sitting congressman under investigation for an alleged assault that happened right here in the district. Thanks for joining us for News 4 at 6, everyone. I'm Jim Adley.
And I'm Un Yang. Florida Congressman Corey Mills represents the Sunshine State's 7th district that covers the area northeast of Orlando. Mills is accused of assaulting a 27-year-old woman in an apartment in Southwest D.C. He denies any wrongdoing.
Not only that, but the Metropolitan
Sounds about right.
Also is investigating its own handling of this alleged incident. The News 4i team's Ted Oberg has been following this story all day for us.
Ted, walk us through these two investigations.
D.C. police tell us their internal investigation is focused on why no arrest has been made in this case, one in which the woman involved, according to an internal report we obtained, allegedly showed an officer evidence of her possible injuries. The report also notes the officer allegedly heard the congressman tell her to lie about how she got the bruises.
Well.
According to an internal police report obtained by News 4 and confirmed by two sources familiar with the case, the young woman who we're not naming called police to report an assault Wednesday afternoon inside a penthouse at this luxury Southwest D.C. apartment building. When police arrived, the woman was in the lobby of the Salamander Hotel next door. According to the report, the officer was able to immediately identify the alleged victim out of all the other patrons in the lobby by her demeanor, physically shaking and scared. The report said the unnamed subject, now identified by D.C. police as Representative Corey Mills from Florida, grabbed her, shoved her, and pushed her out the door. It notes the officer saw bruises on both arms, one fresh, the other older, both the alleged victim said caused by Mills. It goes on to say the responding officer, who has not responded to News 4's calls, heard Mills on the phone instruct her to lie about the origin of the bruises, and that Mills made contact with the police and admitted the situation escalated from verbal to physical, but it was severe enough to create bruising. When told Mills would be placed under arrest, the report says the alleged victim recanted details, including the origin of her injuries, despite a D.C. law saying officers shall arrest a suspect when they see evidence of injury, even just pain. No arrest was made. The report notes a D.C. police lieutenant ordered that probable cause did not exist for an arrest. That version of the report is no longer public, but sources tell us very much a part of a D.C. police internal affairs investigation into why no arrest was made. We obtained two other versions of police report. The second report, obtained the day after the alleged incident,
we obtained two other versions.
Details, saying only police responded to a
sacrifice
disturbance and no probable cause was found. The Third version, obtained Thursday night, calls it an assault under investigation. D.C. police and D.C.'s mayor tell News 4 there's now an internal investigation into how the department handled the case.
Making sure that all of our members did what they were supposed to do according
D.C.
to
Mayor Muriel Bowser.
When contacted by News 4 Thursday, the alleged victim told us in part, "Yesterday I contacted law enforcement to address a personal matter. Although the argument was emotionally charged, there was no physical abuse involved," explaining the bruises were the result of medical conditions and activities from an overseas trip. A spokesperson for Congressman Mills told NBC News this week law enforcement was asked to resolve a private matter at Congressman Mills' residence. Congressman Mills vehemently denies any wrongdoing whatsoever and is confident any investigation will clear this matter quickly.
Mills is reportedly interested in running for the Florida Senate seat last held by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, according to Politico and other Florida media. Online bios have said he was married. The alleged victim in this case is not his wife. Mills' current congressional bio does not include any family details. Jim?
Our Ted Oberg in front of this story. Ted, thanks so much for that report.
Yeah, Ted Oberg. We've got Vivek Ramaswamy announcing his run for governor in Ohio. We got Byron Donalds apparently going to be running for governor in Florida. So already got some races shaping up. Feel like an election just ended and we've already got to start preparing for another one. Oh, Jesus. But this is a politics show, so that's what we do here. Also feels like there was just a pandemic, but we got to get ready for another one. This is Dr. Peter Hotez going to tell us about the current measles outbreak that's going on in Texas.
All right, welcome back. A measles outbreak plaguing parts of Texas and New Mexico. It's growing. Health officials now say at least 90 people have been infected in West Texas, most of them children, with 16 patients hospitalized. And there are 9 other cases in New Mexico. For more now on all of this, we're joined by Dr. Peter Hotez. He is a professor and dean of tropical medicine at Baylor College of Medicine, and he's the co-director of the Center for Vaccine Development at Texas Children's Hospital. And there's more. His latest book is called The Deadly Rise of Anti-Science, A Scientist's Warning. Dr. Hotez, always great to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, so this latest report was a pretty significant jump in a number of cases seen in Texas, 32 more than had been reported just a few days ago. I mean, is this emblematic of how quickly it spreads?
Yeah, and I think it's likely going to continue to increase. We may still be, Frederica, at the early stages of this.
I think he actually is a mad scientist.
The measles virus has what's called an incubation period, the period from when you're exposed to the virus to you show symptoms of around 12 to 13 days. So this may just represent the latest round of individuals infected. It takes another close to 2 weeks before the cohort will pop up. So I expect these numbers will continue to increase. I'm hearing from colleagues on the ground there that there may be many more cases that still haven't yet been confirmed. So this is a big deal. This is a very serious and very dangerous measles epidemic.
It is very unsettling. Now, most of the cases are among those who are unvaccinated, but then officials say 5 patients had received a vaccine. So how is this possible?
Well, a single dose of the measles vaccine, which you usually get between 12 and 15 months of age, is around 90% protective. 2 doses is 97%. So my guess would be that those 5 individuals had probably received a single dose of vaccine. Because it's not perfect, there's still some breakthrough infection. But even then, those individuals tend not to have severe infection. They tend not to be able to transmit the infection. And by the way, they usually only get breakthrough infection when you have a really big virus exposure, so a high inoculum of virus. So that says to me that there's a lot of virus going around Gaines County and areas of West Texas and New Mexico right now.
Would the symptoms be the same among those who have been...
Well, that would make him look more like a mad scientist.
...or those who are unvaccinated?
Probably a lot milder, less fever, less temperature, milder rash, and I would guess unlikely that severe enough to require hospitalization. So most likely the 16 individuals who've been hospitalized for measles so far, close to 20% of infected individuals, overwhelmingly those would be among the unvaccinated. So the point is it's a very good vaccine, a very safe vaccine, a very effective vaccine. And that's the message that we need to transmit, because right now there's efforts to implement catch-up vaccination campaigns among the kids and adults who have not even gotten a single dose, and we need those individuals to get vaccinated in order to reduce the impact of this epidemic.
So those 16 people who are hospitalized, what will be their experience in the hospital? How are they being treated? What are the medicines that they would likely be exposed to while hospitalized?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any direct information about their hospitalization, but what you would look out for are primarily respiratory symptoms, because one of the things measles does is it can cause a very severe, it's called giant cell pneumonia, which is life-threatening. So when children or adults ultimately don't survive measles, it's because of measles pneumonia. So that would be a reason for hospitalization. For respiratory monitoring, make certain they don't need to go into a more intensive care unit-like setting or even require intubation. That would be one. Also fluid losses, because measles can cause severe diarrhea, so keeping up with hydration. Another aspect is measles can cause encephalitis, can cause permanent neurologic damage, deafness, blindness. You know, as I like to say, measles is a bad actor. It's one of our most serious.
Might be able to play better pinball afterwards, though.
In the 1980s, for instance, measles was the single leading killer of children globally. 3 million kids died. Now, through the Gavi Alliance, the Global Alliance of Vaccines and Immunization, we've brought that down to around 100,000 deaths, still a lot. But it just a reminder of how fragile the vaccine ecosystem is, and all it takes is to stop vaccinating long enough for vaccine coverage to go below 90%, and then we can see a measles epidemic. And that's what happened in Gaines County. It has one of the lower vaccination rates in our state of Texas. And it's like a hurricane going over a warm Caribbean Ocean. It just ignites and spreads.
Well, it's important points that you made there. That really is a gateway to other conditions, ailments, etc. This really sounds like it's just kind of the beginning. Dr. Peter Hotez, thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
What's that show? Have I Got News for You? Is that a scripted show? Like, that's Roy Woods Jr., right? It's the Daily Show dude. I think. I can't really see very well, but I think that's him. But, like, is CNN doing a scripted show, or is this some sort of like Daily Show type thing? I'm intrigued as to what kind of stupid stuff they're doing over there. It's a weekly comedy show? Okay, yeah. So I'd probably be into it. More of a British panel show. Okay, I could totally get into that. So the mayor of LA really taking a lot of slack. Fired the fire chief. And this has caused a little bit of a backlash, trying to make a scapegoat out of the fire chief, some people believe.
At 6, ousted LA Fire Chief Christian Crowley responds to her abrupt firing by Mayor Karen Bass. The announcement yesterday triggered reaction from all corners of the city, and now today, former Chief Crowley is telling her side of the story. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kathy Vara.
And I'm Jonathan Gonzalez. Now, we watched that tension grow in public between Bass and Crowley for weeks over the response to the LA County wildfires.
NBC4's Amber Frias joins us now live with today's new developments. Amber.
Hey, Kathy, Jonathan. Mayor Karen Bass was here in Bell for an event where air purifiers and other donations were distributed to people.
I meant what I said. I don't even remember, my lord.
After the event, we asked Mayor Bass about the firing of former Fire Chief Kristen, and This has been something, as you mentioned, very controversial. The local firefighters union has a lot of concerns with this decision. They tell us they believe they're using her as a scapegoat. So we asked the mayor about this, and here's what she had to say.
It was she was absolutely not scapegoated. I would never do that. But it is important for us to understand what happened.
They didn't answer anything.
And former fire chief Kristen Crowley had been escalating for weeks. Then on Friday, Bass announced she was firing Crowley for her refusal to conduct an after-action report on the fire and her decision not to deploy more firefighters the morning before the fires began. Since the firing, local officials, including Councilmember Monica Rodriguez and the firefighters union, have spoken out against the move. The United Firefighters of Los Angeles union president believes Crowley was fired for raising concerns about the department's lack of resources.
Our frustration is the men and women of the LAFD appreciated what she said. They stand behind her.
Brady Escobar.
Just say, hey, I want to use her as a scapegoat. Tell us the truth.
Today, Crowley broke her silence, issuing a statement that read in part, quote, "As the fire chief, I based my actions and decisions on taking care of our firefighters so that they could take care of our communities, serving others before self, having the courage and integrity to do what is right, and leading with compassion, love, and respect have guided me throughout my career." And Crowley could choose to, fight her termination, but she would need to get 10 out of the 15 city council members to vote in her favor. Meantime, Mayor Bass's office says Crowley can stay with the department, but at a lower rank. Reporting live in Vail, Amber Frias, NBC4 News.
Well, that's a slap in the face, though. Who's gonna take that? Just another day in plane crash, USA. Small plane crashes and burns in northwest Tarrant County, Texas. Small plane crash Monday afternoon in northwest Tarrant County, becoming engulfed in flames and igniting a field where it attempted to land. The crash occurred just before 2:45 p.m. near the 4000 block. According to the Federal Aviation Administration, the Star Duster 2 plane had just taken off from Flying Oaks Airport in Azle when it experienced mechanical problems and attempted to land in an open field. When deputies arrived, the plane was fully engulfed in flames and part of the field was also on fire. The pilot and the passenger of the plane escaped the crash without serious injury. The Tarrant County Sheriff's Office and the FAA are among the agencies that have responded. The plane completely burned up, apparently. Guess we don't have video of it. We do have video of a plane that needed to make an emergency landing after smoke seen inside the plane.
Flight was forced to return to Atlanta's airport this morning after what passengers described as smoke filled the cabin.
Yeah, so we know that nearly 100 passengers and crew members were on board that flight after an emergency landing. Everyone did make it off the plane safely, but it still raised more questions about flight safety. That video pretty jarring there. 11 Alive's Joe Ripley joining us live at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. So, Joe, you actually spoke with the passenger who was on board that flight.
What up, Joe?
Right now.
That's right. Well, the good news, Faith, is that they're okay. They are safe. But what was supposed to be a weekend of celebration turned into a headache for this passenger I spoke with. What was supposed to be a short flight home.
Hey, Joe. Where you going with that microphone in your hand?
Turned into a nightmare scenario, she described it, leaving her with more questions than answers.
Is 30 minutes.
This sucks so bad.
It was supposed to take Kristen Morris and her family to fly from Atlanta back home to South Carolina.
Got on the plane to Atlanta at about 8:30, and we sat on the runway for about 15 to 20 minutes, and I was kind of asking them, like, why were we sitting there? Nobody said nothing, and no sooner than we took off, the plane was filled with smoke. Breathe through your clothes, Nana.
Soon after takeoff, Morris shot this video of this smoky scene on board Delta Flight 876 bound for Colombia.
Probably like gas or like burning wires. People was on the plane saying smoke, 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 yelling. And I guess the flight attendant got on the mic and was like, guys, we're aware that it's smoking. We're trying to get in touch with the pilot.
According to Delta, 94 customers, 2 pilots, and 3 flight attendants were on board the Boeing 717. An emergency was declared and air traffic control was able to navigate the plane back to Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta. Everyone had to evacuate the plane using slides. A bad smell and experience leaving a bitter taste in passengers' mouths.
It's not something that you want to investigate at 10,000 feet.
Aviation expert Alan Armstrong says the pilots were right to conduct an emergency landing, and with so many moving parts, it was best to do it sooner rather than later.
It's not discretionary, it's mandatory. If you're not sure your airplane's airworthy, you need to put it on the ground reasonably soon.
But when it comes to flying again, Kristen Morris won't be so quick to take off.
It's not worth the risk. Not with everything that's been going on.
Atlanta to Columbia is not that far of a car ride.
Meantime, today,
4 hours maybe
to get her and her family home. She says Delta only gave her 2 $12 meal vouchers for.
Wow.
She got back to me not too long ago and said she ended up booking an Uber nearly 4 hours back to Orangeburg, where she calls home. We're live from Hartsfield-Jackson here in Atlanta. Joe Ripley, 11 Alive News.
Yeah, very.
That's what I'm saying. You should have, it's possible she wasn't able to rent a car. Maybe she doesn't have a license. Renting a car, you rent a fucking U-Haul. It's like $15. And honestly, by the time you go, you check in at an airport, you go through security and everything, you sit on the runway, you taxi, you get off, you do the same thing on the other side. Fucking, it's gonna be 4 hours for that flight anyway. Go ahead and drive it. No, do they not do $15 U-Hauls anymore? That used to be a thing. I guess they got tired of serial killers using them. Oh, plus mileage. Okay, well, fair enough. Still. That's not bad. Oh, but it comes with so many miles that you can go on it, right? I've looked into U-Hauls before. Michael, good evening. I'm not sure that there is an Amtrak from Atlanta to Columbia. Probably a Greyhound. If you're wanting to go the cheaper route, there's probably a Greyhound. I don't think they have a route there. 6. Oh, I better hit the content warning. We're totally in the no midnight train in Georgia. God damn it. We're solidly in the crime section if you don't want the horrid stories. We got quite a few of them. It's going to be a little bit, about 20 minutes. 6 corrections officers were charged with murder in an inmate's death.
I would never get my father back. The man had robbed me of that opportunity.
You've been charged by an Oneida County grand jury with various crimes, the top count of which is murder in the second degree.
Grand jury life.
Racist murderer! This is not that bitch! Get him bail! No bail! That's it! You want that bitch?
Outbursts of emotion in court today as correction officers are arraigned on murder charges in the death of Robert Brooks. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Mulholland. Sabrina is off tonight. 6 New York State correction officers are accused of murder tonight. Prosecutors identified the men who they say took the life of inmate Robert Brooks at Marcy Correctional in December. Tessa Bentulin was in Oneida County Court today as one after another, the handcuffed defendants pleaded not guilty. Tessa joins us now live from Utica.
Hey, Tessa.
The reaction from people in the court was an indication of how emotionally charged this case is.
Yeah, Mark, that is absolutely correct here in Oneida County. We heard from some supporters, some family members and friends of Robert Brooks. Some of them made their points heard in the courtroom, actually. Some, as you heard, were saying no justice, no peace. Some of them even called the defendants here murderers. So it was very politically charged in that courtroom. And as for the people charged with murder, these corrections officers and sergeants, as for murder, there were 6 of them that were charged: Nicholas Anzalone, David Kingsley, Anthony Farina, Christopher Walright, Matthew Gallagher were all charged with murder. There was another one that was charged with murder, but that name has been redacted from this indictment because they have not yet been arrested. As for manslaughter, Michael Mashaw, Michael Fisher, David Walters, charged with manslaughter, and one more, Nicholas Gentile, charged with tampering with physical evidence. And we also learned in this indictment as well, it says Mr. Brooks was at various times restrained, beaten, choked, among other things, with minimal resistance. And these beatings and other assaults were perpetrated by the defendants. And it also says in this indictment that these defendants did nothing to restrain each other, did nothing to stop the beatings, and failed to immediately order medical assistance. And also in the indictment, it says that one of the people that were charged here, Nicholas Gentile, the man charged with tampering with physical evidence, actually cleaned the area of Robert Brooks's bloodstains in an effort to conceal the existence of said assault. Also, for many of these defendants, bail was set at $250,000,
wow,
giving them the chance to go home to their families, something that did not sit well with the family of Robert Brooks. And we spoke to his father today after court.
He did a crime. He went to jail. He was sentenced to 12 years. He did 8. He was preparing to come home to make a difference in his community, to make a difference in my life, to make a difference in his little sister's life, to make a difference in his big brother's life. He was denied that opportunity. So he didn't get to come home.
So the family is happy that there is charges in this case, but they're upset with that bail that was set. We also spoke with the Onondaga district attorney here.
$250,000
handling this case of Robert Brooks, and he tells us
seems pretty fucking low.
Robert Brooks does not want him to die in vain, and they made sure of that with this court hearing. Reporting live here in Utica, I'm Tessa Bentulin for News Channel 13. Mark, back to you.
Tessa, good work out there. Thank you very much. At a news conference immediately after the charges were read, Robert Brooks' son demanded justice for his father, saying that learning that his father's death was ruled a homicide was very painful but unsurprising.
I would never get my father back. The men have robbed me of that opportunity. These men murdered my father. It was on video. The whole world got to see it. Waiting for these charges have been extremely hard, but these men need to be prosecuted and convicted of the crimes they made.
I think some EMTs got charged as well. It was 6 correctional officers and then other staff. Here's your wild fucking story. Our next couple of stories are crimes of passion. Detectives are seeking the public's help to locate Yolanda Marodi, suspected of fatally stabbing her wife, California Fire Captain Rebecca Marodi. This is an insane story. Virtual Wrong, good evening, my friend.
She had an incredible sense of humor. She could make anybody laugh.
The ex-wife of Cal Fire Captain Becky Marodi is speaking out about domestic violence.
This is solely a case of a toxic relationship gone very, very bad. And domestic violence, touches so many more people than we even realize.
Police suspect Marodi's current wife, Yolanda Marodi, of stabbing the well-known captain to death Monday night inside the home they shared in Ramona. They had been married about 2 years.
Yolanda was very jealous, my understanding, and did not want to have Becky maintaining friendships that she'd had for years with other women.
Leila Fledger Phillips says she never met Yolanda Marodi in person, but she knew about her criminal past back in 2000 when she was known by the name Yolanda Olejniczek. Court records show she was sentenced to 11 years in state prison for voluntary manslaughter after stabbing her then estranged husband to death in Fontana. She had filed for divorce against the victim months earlier and was living in Fallbrook with her 2 children. She went on the run after the stabbing and turned herself into police about 24 hours after the killing, according to published reports. Now Marodi is on the run again, the Sheriff's Department releasing new photos and vehicle information today. The 54-year-old is
I thought she was wanted in another country.
166 pounds with tattoos on both arms. And she's believed to be driving a silver 2013 Chevrolet Equinox with license plate 8BQ J420.
For this to happen to Becky is just in our home. That was the home that
We got an insane woman hunt.
Unfathomable.
Public records indicate Marodi has a mother who lives in Hemet and 2 adult children, one here in San Diego and one in Texas. I reached out, but none of them responded with a comment for this report. At the Vista Courthouse, David Goffredson, CBS 8.
On today's show,
had already killed one of her exes and been convicted. Apparently there are new deets. San Diego County Superior Court has issued an arrest warrant for her. According to the arrest warrant, approximately 1 week before the incident, Rebecca told Yolanda that she was leaving her and ending their marriage. Lorena Marodi, Rebecca's mother, called the 911 that night and told sheriff's deputies that her daughter had been stabbed at their home in Ramona. Lorena told the sheriff's office that she had a Ring camera and she would provide her phone to investigators to share video surveillance of that night. Homicide detectives later reviewed the surveillance footage and saw 2 people believed to be Rebecca and Yolanda running across the patio. A voice believed to be Rebecca is heard yelling out, "Yolanda, please, I don't want to die." Rebecca then appears in the video with what looks like blood on her back. A voice thought to be Yolanda's replies, "You should have thought of that before." The 2 entered the home and Rebecca is not seen again in the footage. Yolanda was later seen wearing different clothes while gathering pets and luggage to load into a silver Chevrolet Equinox. Within hours, this car was seen entering Mexico, according to the Department of Homeland Security. The warrant also states that a known associate of Yolanda's received a text message post-homicide from Yolanda saying, "We had a big fight and I hurt her. I'm sorry." Yolanda had served time in prison for killing her previous spouse. Oh man, she was just shy of her retirement. Bagheera, good evening, my friend. Curious is like, don't you forget it. Liberal women are ruthless. Not the only stabbing we're covering tonight. This one happened in Indiana. Husband kills wife on Valentine's Day after she just didn't give a shit about Paris-themed date he had planned. An Indiana husband allegedly killed his wife on Valentine's Day when he stabbed her 40 times with a big-ass knife, big ass in quotes. After she just didn't give a shit about the Paris-themed evening he arranged, according to new court documents. Oh, so he wasn't even taking her to Paris. It was just a Paris-themed evening. Taylor Meyer, 34, is accused of beating his wife, Deborah, with a wine bottle and stabbing her repeatedly while the couple's 3 young children slept upstairs in their Jeffersonville home. Jeffersonville where? Meyer's grand plans for the perfect Valentine's Day stem from growing suspicion in January that his 36-year-old wife was having an affair with a coworker, according to a probable cause affidavit. In an attempt to turn the tide, he bought her a dress, ordered dinner, and had their kids draw pictures of the Eiffel Tower as part of a Bringing Paris to You evening. Oh wait, do we have a local news hit on this?
Okay, now to a new dress, takeout, and a Parisian-themed celebration. We have new details from police that reveal how
just get divorced, bro.
Husband to an accused murderer on Valentine's Day.
Taylor Meyer is charged with killing his wife, Deborah, while their children were asleep in their house, and he's now being held without bond. Wave News reporter Lena Noakes breaks down the new details.
Well, Taylor Meyer has pleaded not guilty in his wife's death, but court documents reveal truly disturbing details in police interviews with Meyer describing exactly how and why he killed her. A warning, these details...
I mean, look at him. That's probably pretty good effort.
Children tucked in bed asleep did not hear the screams of their mother, Deborah, as their father was accused of brutally killing her. Taylor Meyer's actions, self-professed, laid out in 8 pages of a probable cause affidavit to Jeffersonville police. Deborah had her last meal in a dress picked out by her husband, her last dinner set to the theme of the City of Love, her last gift, a Valentine's card, her last dance to her wedding song. Feelings of love soon traded for rage. Meyer had long suspected his wife was having an affair, so when she left the house after dinner, it only fueled the flames of Meyer went to look through his wife's cell phone. When she refused, an argument escalated to a full-on fight. He told police he choked her, pinning her to the floor as he went through her phone. That's when he said he called the alleged boyfriend, telling him it was his fault. We know the man on the other end of the phone is the one who called police. Meyer went into a fit of rage. As Deborah struggled, calling out for help, Meyer continued to choke her. She struck him with a water bottle, and he said he responded by taking a wine bottle to her head. When she was passed out, he checked to see if she was dead. Unsure, Meyer told police he went to the kitchen, grabbed a large knife, and stabbed her repeatedly in the chest. Police report Deborah had 40 stab wounds. Before police arrived, Meyer allegedly sent a photo of his dead wife to her alleged boyfriend, captioning it, "Your fault." That followed by a text to her family and friends, telling them he'd killed her.
Nope, all your fault,
Now,
bitch.
Thankfully, the children were not hurt. Meyer is being held without bond in Clark County.
Probably the only reason she was still there with your ass was because of your kids.
Lena Noakes, Wave News.
When he was a teenager, Jaden.
I guess this one is also a crime of passion to an extent. Probably passions got heated between an employee and his boss as they were in a McDonald's parking lot.
The victim and suspect in Wednesday's deadly shooting in a McDonald's parking lot in Gwinnett County. 40-year-old Michael Todd is now facing a number of charges, including felony murder. The victim, 43-year-old Donald Stewart, apparently worked for Todd. Gwinnett police say the shooting happened during a work-related fight. Officers rushed to the McDonald's on Sugarloaf Parkway after getting a call of shots fired. Investigators found a man shot to death in the back of that parking lot near the dumpster.
When he was a teenager, Jaden Wagner.
They really want us to watch this story, don't they?
I was working kitchen jobs, you know, and I have kitchen jobs, you know.
It's popped up several times before.
You know, we're all trying to run an economy and everything.
Maybe down, but Wagner certainly wasn't out. He had a dream. Attend the Central Pennsylvania Institute of Science and Technology to take nursing classes. 2 problems, though. Little or no money, and more importantly, Wagner lived an hour away with no means of transportation. So to make his dream a reality,
I remember finding the spot on Google Earth, and I was like, wow, there's a clearing right here. And then, you know, high stuff. You know, I took a machete, cleaned everything out, had it in my tent, but I set up a tent.
That's right.
This is called perseverance porn. For those of you who don't know, this is a type of propaganda, capitalist propaganda, where they take something that should be an infuriating story about a broken system and frame it as, you know, somebody who has overcome a broken system. This dude persevered, and they make it sound feel good instead of, like, you know, actually addressing the root causes in the system. Perseverance porn. Yeah, 86-year-old woman still working 2 jobs. Walks to work a mile each way every morning. Isn't she awesome? She got a certificate from Hardee's. Interesting that that's the story that we got after, you know, the story of the boss shooting his employee. I'm going to need more details on that one. We're going to have to find out more about that. Rideshare driver battles suspect in dramatic carjacking that was caught on video.
Good afternoon, I'm Glenn Walker.
And I'm Lou Parker. Thanks for joining us. Dramatic moments caught on video in West Covina as a rideshare driver is carjacked and taken on a dangerous ride.
Now, the ordeal ended with a crash and an arrest. KTLA 5's Aaron Myers live now in West Covina with that video and the latest information. Aaron?
Hi, you two. That
yep, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about.
Where we are right now, but this all started at a gas station not far from here. That rideshare driver had her car parked at the gas station. The suspect approached her, got into her vehicle. Now, she did try to stop the carjacking, and it was all caught on camera. West Covina police released this video of a carjacking on social media. You can see the suspect put a bike in the trunk of a car at a Valero gas station at the intersection of South Garvey and Azusa Avenue. The rideshare driver secures the bike as the man gets into the driver's seat. The driver quickly stops the door from closing and jumps into the car with the suspect.
The victim got into the vehicle in the driver's seat on the suspect's lap, and there was a struggle. The suspect did tell the victim that he was going to purposely crash the vehicle. He drove out of the parking lot, dragging our female with him.
The car reverses, speeds out of the gas station, and is on the wrong side of the road when it slams into a pole.
He then ran on foot, and we got a call shortly after from a security company.
The driver, a woman in her 20s, told police the suspect asked for a ride. She declined at first, but then agreed to drop the man off at a nearby location.
When you're trying to do a good deed to help somebody out, you know, don't always assume that it's for the right reasons.
After the crash, the suspect was spotted at a nearby car dealership in a white van.
An outside company that looks at videos overnight. They have multiple TVs looking at different videos, so they're really alert and they're good.
In video, you can see the suspect coming out of the van. Officers had their weapons drawn and a canine on scene as he backed up towards them.
That poor girl.
His head. This did happen back on January 27th, and the driver did suffer minor injuries, but she is doing okay now. As for the suspect, charges were filed for carjacking, kidnapping, and assault with a deadly weapon. Reporting here in West Covina, I'm Aaron Myers, KTLA 5 News.
We're going to keep it out in California. We got a high school student apparently doing a hit and run. No. Driver on the run after striking a high schooler. That's what we got.
Driver on the run this morning after allegedly striking a teen on a motorbike, leaving him to die on a South Los Angeles street.
Mario Ramirez is live in South LA with more on what we know about the victim. Mario?
Mario.
Good morning, 16-year-old Hayden Neighbors, as he's been identified by family and the medical examiner. He lived here in this neighborhood. He went to school nearby, and this morning police continue to search, a desperate search for the driver who they say left him for dead in the middle of the street in this neighborhood. Take a look. It was caught on camera. Surveillance footage showing the moment that the boy was paused it right before the deadly impact. Police say the 16-year-old was riding a mini bike northbound on San Pedro Street, just north of 99th, when he was overtaken by a Toyota Corolla traveling in the same direction. This was around 2 a.m. Sunday. The impact was so strong, the teen's body was thrown down the street, and the motorized pocket bike was left mangled, jammed into the front of that vehicle. The driver, police say, didn't render aid. He took off running instead, and they say he left the car behind where the victim was pronounced dead.
Fucking wow.
Rampant, and a key street light here in this area has been out for about a year, making the street a recipe for disaster.
Something really needs to change because no lights, people speeding, people not looking.
Intoxicated on something, almost certainly.
Something really needs to change. It's just sad. That mom lost a 16-year-old boy just starting out. That's too much.
That Toyota Corolla was towed and impounded as evidence. The driver now facing felony hit-and-run charges. Not clear if he was under the influence, according to the LAPD, but they are now offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to his arrest. Now, coming back out here live, several people, including some family members, did stop by the memorial for 16-year-old Hayden Neighbors here on the sidewalk near the crash site. They say he was in his junior year at Fremont High School, which is about 1.5 miles from this scene. And anyone with information being urged to contact the LAPD. That's the latest here in South LA. I'm Mario Ramirez. We'll send it back to you.
Heartbreaking. So sad.
Everything does suck, especially this bus driver's driving. But it's possible that he didn't know that he was dragging a pedestrian behind him.
911, what's the address of the emergency? 28th and Cedar.
He's in Minnesota.
Bus just ran some guy over.
I don't think he realized what he did.
They're under the back tire. I don't think they're alive.
It was a gruesome sight in South Minneapolis.
He came flying around the corner.
A Septran school bus with a single student on board.
I'm coming from that side. I turn left.
Crashing into a pedestrian.
You can actually see the bus bouncing as it's trying to get over the body.
Hit the guy jogging all the way here.
That pedestrian was 27-year-old Josue Coches Perez, who was on his way home from work. He was in the crosswalk with the walk signal and the right-of-way.
They drugged the person.
Okay.
Josue was dragged more than 100 feet. He died pinned underneath the school,
not
far from where his parents live.
¿Cómo? No puede ser.
They recall the pain in learning about the death of their son, who had a wife and 3 young children.
Shit, she was beautiful.
I wanted the earth to swallow me up, his father says.
Lucky dude.
Morir.
Heartbroken, his mother tells us she wanted to die.
Sí.
And his brother left with serious questions about the bus company and the driver that company trusted behind the wheel.
They're just not doing enough. And
Attorney Roger Poles represents the victim's family in a lawsuit filed against the bus company Septran and the driver.
You've got to have a better system in place to make sure these drivers are not on the road.
What in the hell is bus company?
That driver was Osman Ali, who was recently convicted of careless driving and failure to yield to a pedestrian. Here, he's seen sitting in the back of a squad car shortly after that April 2023 crash.
No. When I come in, the light is green. Okay. I don't see him. When I pass, I think it's a cone or something. I try to stop. I can't stop,
Was this driver qualified to be driving a school bus?
So everything that we've received back in this trial so far has been no.
The driver was employed by Septran, a school bus company that had a $4 million contract to drive students for Minneapolis.
A private company should not be hiring bus drivers. a school district can do that themselves.
Public schools.
They both have that same obligation to make sure these training requirements are being met.
This is insane. That's not something that should be privatized.
What they're being trained to do.
So, you only did a couple of these questions, or on the Appendix E?
A Minnesota state trooper found Ali failed to complete this document known as Appendix E nearly a month before the crash. It's a written test that's legally required by state law, but the driver only answered 8 of the 20 safety questions.
You did not go over the appendix with him, so you just...
The trainer should have, because they're the ones that were with him when he filled it out.
Because of that, Ali was not certified to drive a school bus. And in this field report, the trooper says Ali, quote, wasn't able to demonstrate that he had sufficient skills and knowledge to transport students in a safe and legal manner.
How do we not look at this and say, we got to pull him off the road?
These internal SEPTRAN coaching records obtained by the Fox 9 investigators reveal Ali's driving record had already been raising red flags for months.
Just an ongoing pattern of behavior from this driver of just really kind of disregarding basic safety.
This sophisticated dash camera mounted inside Ali's school bus was equipped with artificial intelligence. That generated coaching records, which flagged Ali for risky driving 20 times in the 3 months before the crash.
It indicates over and over, incomplete stop, failing to wear his seatbelts on the bus.
What does that tell you?
Somebody wasn't paying attention. Somebody up above, supervisors. Their program's not working.
Now, SEPTRAN declined to comment on this story, citing pending litigation. But the company's own coaching records reveal how SEPTRAN responded to Ali's driving violations. For example, March 14th, he is making great strides in getting this under control. March 24th, told driver we need to make complete stops. April 14th, just days before that crash, he is making good progress getting this under control.
It's a rubber stamp. It's to say it's to look good on paper.
Do you think the coaching has been effective?
Well, clearly.
This is just outrageous.
This individual didn't have to die that day. And had we paid attention to these violations, had somebody had the courage to say, no, we got to take you off the road. We got to put somebody else on that route. This accident doesn't happen.
The victim's parents tell us they hope the bus company can realize the mistakes they've made as they continue to cope with the loss of their son.
Muy difícil.
Ali, the bus driver, no longer works for SEPTRAN, and he's set to be sentenced on his criminal charges next month.
I would hope he doesn't work for him anymore.
A spokesperson said that the district, quote, has protocols in place to keep our students safe while traveling to and from school on our buses. But the district would not comment any further because of those ongoing legal matters. For the Fox 9 investigators, I'm Nathan O'Neill.
Bagheera, shut the fuck up. You have no, you can talk about illegal people. You have no indication that any of these people were illegal. I would assume they are all legal. Jesus, dude. That's some racist shit for you. Let's go to Colorado, where thieves apparently faked a seizure. Thieves faked a seizure at a Colorado pet store.
A pet store in Colorado is dealing with a bizarre rash of crime. Surveillance video has captured brazen thieves repeatedly stealing puppies from the store. In one instance, the manager says a man went as far as faking a seizure to create a distraction. The store has been the target of protests against retail pet sales, but the owners don't believe that's connected to the thefts. So far, one person has been arrested. You see the employees try to chase the man out of the store while he is literally dropping puppies on his way out. The store says it is increasing its security.
I am all for stealing puppies from puppy breeders or stores that sell puppies from puppy breeders. I'm down with that, especially if it's a form of protest. I root them on. Those pet stores hurt animals. Juveniles in L.A. attack a motorist who's caught on video.
Caught on camera, a man viciously attacked in the middle of the street.
This happened after he confronted a group of teenagers on bikes. KTLA 5's Kimberly Chang live in Carthage.
He should have kept his goddamn mouth shut.
Kimberly.
Hi, good morning. And this was also a disturbing scene for the witnesses who were here. Their cars blocked as this.
So he's being a Karen. Got his ass beat.
Behind me, one person started recording the incident. Take a look as this violence unfolded here in the middle of the street. This happened near San Vicente and Carrillo Drive in the Carthay neighborhood. That's on the border of Beverly Hills. The person who shot the video described it as a mob of kids on BMX bikes attacking cars and said a motorist got out to confront them, and that's when they attacked him. The video shows a large group kicking and beating a person while he's on the ground in the middle of the street in broad daylight. As I mentioned, this chaotic scene blocked drivers on the road, many frightened. LAPD said it happened around 4:30 p.m. Saturday. Police say the motorist suffered minor injuries and reported that the car was vandalized. Now, we spoke with a witness earlier.
15 copies of the same kid.
Right as I got out of my car, one of the kids jumped on top of his Mercedes and smashed in the windshield. But it looked like it was a situation where he got out of the car to confront all these kids that were blocking traffic, and they all jumped on him. It was just an innocent guy that got out of his car, and they all swarmed him, and they were stomping his head. It was really hard to watch. Wow. But we got there, and by the time we got there, we were just there to offer help to him. And it took literally 30 minutes.
All right, could you take on like 40 toddlers?
And it takes the police 30 minutes to arrive. It is unacceptable.
You just be kicking them in the head, right?
And he said there were maybe 20 or more juveniles involved. Now, this is not the first time.
That might be more.
Incident involving bicyclists and a motorist. In January, this video went viral after a Mercedes was seen going through a crowd of cyclists near Olympic and Rimpau in the nearby Mid-Wilshire area. That car was reportedly vandalized inside a parking garage. Detectives are...
Those kids probably, they've got a right to do that.
At this time, if the same group was involved. Now, Councilwoman Katie Yaroslavsky, whose district includes this area, did send a statement saying in part, quote, "I'm deeply disturbed by the attack. My heart goes out to the young man who was assaulted and his family." She went on to say that while law enforcement has not indicated that they think this was a hate crime, any act of violence is unacceptable. Reporting live in the Carthay neighborhood, Kimberly Chang.
Any act of violence is unacceptable. Boo-hoo. What is wrong with me? Oh, they did it too. Unacceptable. Jinx. Jinx on that one. You owe me a Coke. This happened in Hawaii. This is beachfront explosion.
Tonight, an investigation underway into this powerful explosion at a beachfront hotel in Hawaii.
I think I've been at that beach.
Positioned to capture the Maui coastline, capturing the blast that rocked the Whaler Resort, sending smoke and debris flying through the air.
Suddenly there was just like this huge like earth-shaking boom, like you could tell it wasn't like a firework or something somebody planned.
Images taken moments after the explosion, showing first responders treating the wounded on the hotel patio. Bystanders with medical experience providing first aid until emergency personnel arrived. An
machine says meth lab.
Scene showing tables and chairs blown back by the power of the explosion.
I've been in different war zones. It sounded like Fallujah. It was huge.
7 people, ranging in age from 18 to 74, were injured, 3 critically, with 1 airlifted to the hospital for treatment, according to Maui police. Police marking the debris that landed on the beach with yellow flags. They say liquefied petroleum gas, which is commonly used in grills, may have fueled the blast.
People were just running over
There's a grill?
I was yelling at them, stop, because the gas is still on. And to me, I'm thinking second explosion, so which would have been as catastrophic.
The Whaler Resort declining our request for comment due to the ongoing investigation. Emergency crews clearing
meth lab
without an evacuation. And tonight, telling residents there is no further threat to the public.
And Marquise Francis joins us now. Marquise, as you said, police are still investigating here. So what more do we know?
What does Marquise in New York have to say about anything in fucking Hawaii? I just want to show you the video. We had a hell of a winter storm come through the U.S. last week. This is a wild piece of video. White Bear Lake. Where is White Bear Lake? Is that in Minneapolis? Or outside of Minneapolis, somewhere in Minnesota? This is a Minnesota news station. Got a Buick stuck in the lake.
There's a viral video going around on social media. It shows a Buick stuck in the ice on White Bear Lake. It's been there almost a month now, stuck there with the fishes. Fox 9's Leon Purvis.
Been there a month?
Angler who figures
Georgie, good evening.
Is structure, so Leon, he drops his line right next to the Buick.
Exactly, Randy. Anglers sat by the Buick and just fish, and you can see they have their lines down and they're just fishing right by the Buick, and you see it right there by the bottom of your screen. And they also even had a fish finder showing the fish under the car.
Front end of the car is actually on the bottom of the lake.
Only the front half of the Buick fell into White Bear Lake. The bumper is sticking up out of the frozen water.
I took a little picture sitting there fishing on it, and we fished next to it today and caught a couple bluegills.
Carl Erickson has been back to White Bear Lake multiple times, making videos on Instagram.
I think so, Blunder Monkey.
So far, his videos have generated more than 1 million views.
Went and took a look at it and kind of made a little video around what I found. And
Carl found the Buick about 2 weeks ago. With the recent cold snap, it may be some time before the car can be removed from White Bear Lake.
I think they said it had been there a week, and now it's been so cold over the weeks since then that it's that bumper is frozen solid.
Now Carl is curious. How can anyone pull the Buick out of the lake with the ice thick enough for cars to drive on?
I'm kind of watching because I'd like to see the process because I think it's a pretty complex process.
It'll be interesting for sure when they do pull it out the lake. And if you head to White Bear Lake to see the Buick, there is thin ice lines around it. So do be careful. And there's no word yet on when it could potentially be removed. Live in studio, Leon Purvis, Fox 9.
Well, I bet the owner knows when it needs to be out of there because they're pretty hefty fines for
yes, they are.
Leaving them in there, no doubt. Okay.
See, when the anchor and the reporter, when they're doing this is like the end of the show. They're trying to vamp for time, so they'll do that last story. That's what's called a kicker. They can take the kicker out if they need to, if they're running short on time. They haven't timed the show out properly. They come back to the desk right here, and like the producers in the ear, like we've got 30 seconds left, we got 20 seconds, Phil, and they say their goodbyes and everything. And this is also the section of the show that we are in with me right now, where I do bullshit. We do the bullshit stories right at the end. It's kind of like the palate cleanser after we do death and murder and all that good shit, and all the politics. I usually, the coworkers at the TV station usually like each other. I thought our banter, and when I say our banter, I was usually when I worked at a TV station, I was the camera guy, I was the floor director. So I'm having banter with the anchors and shit during the commercial. We're cracking each other up and shit. Talking about fucking death and murder on the air, and then we're talking nonsense in the commercial break. Anchorman was pretty accurate. I had never seen it until just a few weeks ago. I watched Anchorman for the first time ever. Maybe a few months back. Speaking of Anchorman, one of the most famous anchormen in the business. I guess we finally got to him, guys. We won.
Lester Holt is signing off from the NBC Nightly News Desk for good. The anchor will step down from the long-running program in June, NBC announced on February 24th. Though Holt's successor has yet to be named, fans won't have to go far to see what he'll do next. The renowned broadcaster is moving into a full-time role at NBC's Dateline, where he served as principal anchor since 2011. According to the network, Holt reflected on the transition in an internal memo to staffers at both shows, and noted how grateful he is to have reached this point after decades in the business. A smile comes to my face when I think that with nightly news and Dateline, I have now anchored two of the most successful and iconic television news programs in broadcast history, he reportedly wrote, adding, as a 20-year-old radio reporter on the police beat chasing breaking news around San Francisco, I could never have imagined my career path would unfold in the way it has. What an amazing...
Are you guys going to be sad about Lester?
NBC News in 2000. Polls conducted by The Hollywood Reporter and The Morning Consult named him the most trusted television news personality in America twice in a row. And NBC News Executive Vice President of
Georgie, thank you for the resub. Shut up, let's resub.
And legacy in a staff memo per NBC, writing, he has led the network during some of the country's most fraught and challenging times in the past decade. Quite simply, Lester is the beating heart of this news organization. It remains unclear who will take over the helm at Nightly News, but Holt's journalism roots are professional and personal. Back in 2020, he shared with Access Daily's Mario Lopez and Kit Hoover about his son Stefan following in his TV footsteps.
Yeah, we've seen Stefan.
Even ran into each other at the office from time to time.
Stefan anchors the news, the 4 o'clock and 11 o'clock news at WNBC in New York. So he's actually in the same building with me, which is just a hoot
awesome.
when you're on the elevator like, hey, Steph, what's up, man?
That's so funny.
Do you ever meet for lunch or go to the commissary?
Occasionally, yeah, we'll go to the commissary or maybe dinner, because he's got to stick around for the 11 o'clock news. And he's got this big heart, which is so fun because he was never one of those, as a teenager, he was never one of those teens that was embarrassed about, their dad. So we'll be talking about in the elevator lobby and like, well, I got to go get ready for my show. Yeah, me too. And I love you, Dad.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Oh, shut up, Lester. I'm gonna have to give him a good send-off when he leaves in June? Is that what they said? I bet he'll still be the end of all the videos. He'll still be like their big anchor, though, especially like until they establish someone new. If like another 9/11 was to happen, they would still bring Lester on for special coverage. You'll still have Lester doing all the big stories. Well, Flash, we're coming up on the 420 5th anniversary special, which, by the way, this year is WrestleMania. It's my anniversary show. It's also Easter. It's a weird fucking day. I'm still trying to come up with exactly how I'm going to handle this show because I have traditions that are clashing with each other. Because I have traditions that I do with my best friend around WrestleMania. And I have traditions I do with this show, and this is the 5th anniversary show. So it's kind of special, So, ooh. The thought process at the moment is that I come on at 4. I do a show until WrestleMania probably comes on at 6. So I'll do a show until 6:30 or so. We'll do 2.5 hours. I'll sign off. Or perhaps I'll watch WrestleMania. Who knows? I don't hate Lester Holiday. I mean, what would ever lead you to believe that I hate Lester? Here's some cats that don't like being in Hawaiian shirts. That's not what Steven said. I'll probably hate Steven way more than I hate Lester. Sure did, Flash. Haven't you been here the whole time? I said good evening to you. You must have checked out in the middle. I think they're both kind of angry. This was a wild show tonight. We did a lot of crazy fucking news. And I went through it pretty fucking fast. I hauled ass through it just because it's Live Music Monday. I've got other shit I need to do. But, I love Live Music Monday. It's one of my favorite things in the world. Tonight, Roberta Flack passed away a few days ago. We're doing a Roberta Flack concert. Somebody requested Tracy Chapman. We're doing Roberta Flack and Tracy Chapman tonight. I figured we haven't been seeing you very much because you got that PS5, and I totally understand it. You put one of your dragons in a Hawaiian shirt. You want to see an angry cat? I can grab an angry cat. He's not angry at the moment, but he'll be angry if I grab him. So YouTube peeps, podcast peeps, we're going to say goodbye to you. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol, live. Twitch